16.13 billion kina budget for 2019. Increase in funding for tuition fee-free policy. And Public Service Minister promises reimbursement for affected teachers.
This is National EMTV News with Helen Sayer.
Good evening. Thank you for joining us for Tuesday's news. Our lead stories will come in a little later on, but we start with community leaders and the family of a PNG student who was recently murdered overseas, calling on responsible Papua New Guinean authorities to liaise with the Philippine local police and judiciary to bring justice for their son. Late Timothy Charles from Hela Province was in his final year at the University of the Southern Philippines when he was murdered early last month.
Late Timothy Charles from the Como Magarima district in Hela Province was accepted in 2013 to study computer software engineering in the University of Southern Philippines in Cebu. During his second year of study, he met Rosana Villanueva, and in 2016 they had their first daughter, Samantha Kate Villanueva. According to his wife, Rosana Villanueva, on Monday, the 8th of October at around 1 a.m., Charles was brutally murdered in Cebu by Filipino locals after going out with his friends on Sunday night.
Sabi ng mga kasama ni Timothy na PNG, sabi nila na nung gabi na yun na pagkamatay ni Timothy, pumunta yung ambulance, police, tapos hinanap nila yung pumatay. Tapos dinala nila si Timothy dun sa hospital. Dead on arrival.
This isn't the first time. In 2016, there was a similar brutal murder of a PNG student in Philippines. Late Charles's family members and community leaders are appealing to the Minister of Foreign Affairs, Rimbing Pato, and the PNG Embassy in Philippines to use this incident as precedent and to collaborate together to assist relevant authorities to bring full justice on the murderers.
We have invested, it's a great loss. And we, Papua New Guinea, we have sent a lot of our children to study in the Philippines. And these such incidents like that we have faced right now with Timothy has brought us sadness.
Peter Sessi, late Timothy's father, who is also blind, said the deceased was his only son from his previous marriage. Unfortunately, both his parents are unemployed and illiterates, and they saw their late son as their only hope. With the crime committed on Philippine soil and police reports that Filipino locals were involved in his murder, the judicial jurisdiction of late Charles's case lies within the regional trial court in Philippines. Late Timothy Charles's family hopes PNG authorities can assist with the case to bring justice for their late son. Isaiah Tare, National EMTV News.
Japan Ambassador to PNG Satoshi Nakajima today signed an agreement with UNDP to pledge Japan's support toward the Bougainville referendum. Japan, through the agreement, will give funds to support the work of the Bougainville Referendum Commission, as well as the autonomous Bougainville Government's Directorate for Media and Communications. EMTV News cadet reporter Elizabeth Guka reports.
In the agreement, the Japanese government will provide financial assistance in 3 million kina towards the Bougainville referendum. The financial support provided by the Japanese government will be implemented by the UNDP under the Bougainville Referendum Support Project in the autonomous region of Bougainville. The Director for the National Coordination Office for Bougainville Affairs in the Prime Minister's Department, John Avera, expresses his gratitude towards the timely provision of funds given by Japan through its embassy in Port Moresby.
This contribution of 1 million by government of Japan and the people of Japan is most welcome and very timely.
The ABG is currently in the process of completing the Bougainville peace agreement with PNG government. Avira says that there have been appeals sent to development partners to assist in conducting the referendum, which is the third pillar of the Bougainville peace agreement.
Insofar as the contribution, I think it's a great relief. BRC, which is the Bougainville Referendum Commission, needed support, and through our partners, UN and other countries, we've appeal to our development partners to assist us to actually conduct a referendum, which is the third pillar of the Bougainville Peace Agreement.
The director says apart from the support given by Japan, the PNG government as well as other donors such as Australia and New Zealand have also made pledges to support the work of the Bougainville Referendum Commission through the UNDP's implementation of the Bougainville Referendum Support Project.
New Zealand has already pledged their support. It's also administered through UN team here in PNG and also in Buka. Further to that, PNG government has made a commitment through the budget process that they will make some funding available to support BRC work in Bougainville.
Meanwhile, the funds provided by the Japanese government will be used to assist the work of the Bougainville Referendum Commission and the ABG Directorate of Media and Communications. Specifically, the funds will be used to provide awareness materials and equipment to help inform the people of Bougainville and PNG about the practical and legal processes involved in the referendum. Elizabeth Guka, National EMTV News.
Members from the National Capital District Commission and the Tourism Promotion Authority yesterday witnessed the launch of a new website and brand name called Amazing Port Moresby. Tourism Promotion Authority Director of Marketing Research and Statistics, Alice Kwaningi, who was there to witness the launch, commended the NCD Governor, saying TPA fully supports this campaign.
The Amazing Port Moresby brand name and the website is a campaign to promote the image of the city. The website www.amazingportmoresby.com contains short videos and photos of tourism sites in Port Moresby, and people can also visit Amazing Port Moresby on Facebook, Instagram and Twitter. Governor Pakop said through the website tourists can have a sneak peek of the city, its sites and important landmarks of the city.
And as governor of the city, we want to share a more positive image of our country, of our city, to the world. I invite all of you who have taken the time to come today and everybody else out there who made our city their home, part of their life, to share a positive and this positive story of our city and our country to the world. I want them and all of us to have pride and to think about the possibilities there is.
Tourism Promotion Authority Director for Marketing Research, Alice Kwaningi, says TPA has been having problems in promoting tourism in PNG, and such initiative is a big step forward. She assured the NCD Governor that they will work together with the NCDC to further develop the website.
The website is very important, as every traveler does their research on any destination before traveling. Having a dedicated website will assist our tourists and travelers the ease of checking vital information, plan and travel or get about to sites of interest. This is truly an amazing city, amazing Port Moresby.
The Amazing Port Moresby campaign will also be extended to schools and learning institutions to engage students through drawing competition, essay writing and more. The campaign will also be extended to communities to take part in the Amazing Community Campaign. Rayon Lakingu, National EMTV News.
The lands officers in Leh yesterday met with the owner of a Leh-based company to discuss on the process involved in acquiring land. This came after residents living along Kasawari Road reported that the company trading as K16 Limited constructed accommodations on a reserve land near the Bumbu River using 20-foot containers. It was clarified that there wasn't a proper communication between the company and their consultant firm engaged in surveying the reserve land, and that they didn't follow the process involved in acquiring the land.
This is the reserve land that has dormitory-like buildings built by K16 Limited using 20-foot containers. According to Morbe's provincial fiscal planner, Dopenu Logi, this area was declared as a disaster zone and is unfit for development.
Physical planning area in 2015 declared that this area was a floodplain. So there should not be any development along that floodplain, because this is a hazardous area and is risk to the public safety and as a development of the province itself.
However, the development has already begun by the company and a consultant firm engaged by the company to survey the land.
It's been occurred due to mislead of information and process to acquire and approve such extension of land. Therefore, our visit here to this development site here is to rectify the situation and allow the developer to get more information to allow the development to prosper.
K16 has got this piece of land from John Benko, east-west. So after K16 got the land, K16 saw that along the riverbank, it's a reserve land. It's there, so which is not in the section allotment for the land that she got it from John Benko. So what she did was she had to get a surveyor, and then a surveyor came in.
The company's managing director, Gigi Lin, said off camera that she was not told on the progress of the surveyor's engagement. The managing director said an officer from the Lands and Fiscal Planning Office in Leh recommended a surveyor to her. She was also not advised by the officer and the surveyor on the processes involved in acquiring the land.
The advice now is to allow the consultant of the developer to liaise more with the lands department to verify and to know the more steps and process of how the planning process and the land acquisition here in Morobe are taking place.
The issue of the development by K16 Limited on this reserved land was reported by the community residing here at Kasawari Road, where the company operates.
The lands on the physical planning survey all been put in on top, but after all, the land packing been come stable. All been come packing here.
According to the company's architect consultant, the company never removed the pack.
It's there. Like when they are saying it's removed, they're not saying it right. You know, like if you want to acquire this reserve land, we need to put up a separate pack. That's to separate the new pack that we will apply to acquire this land.
Julie Badui Owa, National EMTV News, Leh.
Gulf Governor Chris Haiveta says legislation is now being considered to regulate the sale of betel nut. This follows a meeting with stakeholders in Kerema who expressed disappointment on the lack of government intervention and support in finding a way to assist growers who rely on the crop for income. At present, growers claim they are losing the opportunity to earn money. According to Governor Haiveta, the Gulf provincial government has resolved to buy betel nut from growers at a fixed price and resell it to the general public at a higher fixed price in order to regulate the end selling price. There are two proposed wholesale sites in Kerema Town and Malalawa where producers can sell their betel nut in bulk instead of selling at a reduced or bargained price. The meeting also resolved to work together to curb the unlawful activities associated with the sale of betel nut as well as the intrusion of betel nut dealers. You're with National EMTV News. We go for a break now, but we'll be back with more after these messages. Welcome back to the news. Now to our top stories. Treasurer Charles Abel today handed down the government's money for the year ahead. The 2019 national budget has been framed with the theme Building a Broader-Based Economy. Expenditure will be within the order of 16.133 billion kina, set against a revenue envelope of just over 14.266 billion kina.
Treasurer Charles Abel, together with National Planning Minister Richard Maru, presented the 2019 national budget at the annual press lockup today. From the outset, the Treasurer made his intentions known to broaden the economic base of the country to increase revenue in 2019 and beyond.
We need that to continue to spur investment, bring in foreign exchange, create jobs, while we keep our eye always on that broader-based economy, which is what this budget is all about. And creating those longer-term quality jobs, building the middle class of Papua New Guineans, that is so important, and what this is all about. So you can see how employment is trending. It's not growing as fast as we would like, but the trend is positive. We had shot up in the 2014, in the period up to 2014 in first gas. Of course, it then went down with that major, the construction phase finished off. But it's been on the overall trending upwards. And I think it's important the government keeps a very strong focus on employment generation.
An important aspect of revenue is taxation. Today, the Treasurer announcing some relief for low-income earners, with the taxation threshold increased to 12,000 kina per annum from the current 10,000 kina level. This decision made to provide some relief for the lowest paid employees within the formal sector. While some level of tax relief has been given to low-income earners, the government is also adamant in clamping down on sectors that have evaded paying their fair share of taxes to the state.
We're very pleased to be in a position to pass back 162 million in terms of the relief on the income tax side. And of course, that is, as Darius explained, it applies to those people essentially that, it applies to everybody who's earning a wage, but proportionally the impact is greater on those people who are at 20,000 kina a year and below. So hopefully that translates, the intentions that 30 or 40 kina a fortnight translates back to our people.
In terms of expenditure, the 2019 budget expenditure envelope is set at 16.13 billion kina. This comprises of 10.63 billion kina in operational expenditure and 5.49 billion kina in capital expenditure. 2019 also marks the start of the implementation of the third medium-term development plan, with funding now tied to programs under the MTDP through the national budget.
Our heart is in the right place. We want to grow the economy and focus on improving services, empower our citizens to take up business and enjoy a far bigger part of the wealth of our country. We are focused on education and health to deliver far better outcomes than we've had in the past. But all of it can only happen if we are able to mobilize the resources, the 5.4 billion, mobilize the resources and implement this budget. This is 2019 is the most important year for our medium-term development plan 3 implementation. We've got to find the funds and implement.
So here is a brief overview of the 2019 national budget. Revenue is set at 14.266 billion kina, expenditure at 16.133 billion kina, a deficit of 1.86 billion kina. Treasurer Charles Abel presented the national budget in Parliament this afternoon, with the opposition to provide their response in Parliament when it resumes next Tuesday. Merabatulo, National EMTV News.
Renewed focus on revenue is a key pillar in the government's 2019 budget. According to Deputy Prime Minister and Treasurer Charles Abel, revenue is growing tremendously, not just with the resource sector, but also with non-resource sector.
According to the 2019 budget, revenues in 2019 will be supported by the anticipated improvement in the domestic growth outlook, maintenance of reasonably high commodity prices, particularly for oil and gas, and continued efforts to improve revenue collections through the medium-term revenue strategy.
It applies similarly to all the other elements of the budget. So we're going to spend time talking about the revenue side and the financing side because it's critical. Growing that envelope is so important. we're able to go out and get financing and meet the expectations of the international community and get an overwhelmingly vote of confidence through some of our financing measures because of some of the good things we're doing in terms of the 25-point plan and discipline and those other measures that we are talking about. However, we must give equal attention on the expenditure side.
The 2019 budget estimates a 4.0% growth. This is in large parts because of mining projects Papua LNG, Pinyang and Wafi Golpu. However, a review of taxes is another way in which the government plans to increase revenue. According to Secretary for Treasury Dairi Vele, the government will not be taxing more, but will be taxing smarter.
We want a simple and fair fiscal regime, the way that we tax people. We don't want to tax more, we want to tax smarter. And we want to make sure that everybody that should be paying tax in this country is paying tax in this country. It's not all about the numbers of kinas and toys, it's also about our sustainable population.
Leanne Jarari, National EMTV News.
The 2019 Capital Investment Budget focuses on increasing exports, broadening the tax base, encouraging downstream processing and promoting investments in the renewable sector and providing quality healthcare and education services. Fidelis Sukina reports.
At today's budget press lockup, National Planning Minister Richard Maru said the country's capital investment budget was at 5.5 billion, which was an increase of 1.1 billion compared to the 2018 appropriation of 4.4 billion. For key infrastructure areas, 130 million will be allocated for the rehabilitation and upgrade of the Highlands Highway, 32 million to kickstart development of 5 new highways, 90 million for provincial airport redevelopment, and 75 million for Nazap Airport redevelopment. Other rural airstrips will also be redeveloped with the budget allocation.
Most of our districts are totally underserved right now. They do not have basic services and have to go to town and into the cities and into the slums and settlements to look for basic services. This has to stop.
The health sector receives the total funding of 455.62 million to deliver quality health services at all levels. The 2019 budget allocation of 100 million is for the development of district hospitals, 55 million for the establishment of a new provincial hospital, 8 million for community health posts. Engau and the Port Moresby General Hospital cancer and heart units will get 10 million, 8.2 million for rural primary health sector delivery program. The government also allocated 10 million for polio immunization program and 12 million for multi-drug resistant TB and HIV/AIDS prevention program.
To make such a serious commitment to improving services in the district, apart from the 800 million that you're seeing going for DSIP and just over 200 for the PSIPs, we have now decided to focus on building a district hospital in every single district in Papua New Guinea over these 5 years.
Fidelis Sukina, National EMTV News.
The Education Department has seen a 6.6% increase in the 2019 national budget compared to that of 2018. The increase comes from the additional 12 million kina which the national government allocated to carry out its tuition fee-free policy.
The Education Department has been given 1.3 billion kina in the 2019 national budget, 8.5% of the total expenditure. Priority areas for education in 2019 include the school's rehabilitation program, which will cost 20 million kina, the construction of Western Pacific University, and the post-technical education programs in Enga, West Sepik, and East New Britain provinces. Though there is an additional 15 million kina allocated for 2019, it has not been a smooth ride for the Education Department in 2018. A number of secondary and primary schools in the country has seen a delay in the payment of their TFF funds. They include Manus Secondary in Manus Province and the Mercy Catholic Secondary in East Sepik Province. Despite all these challenges, the government has reaffirmed its commitment to the TFF policy, as well as increased the number of teachers in rural schools.
One of the things Personnel Management points out to us, the Department of Personnel Management, is that we've engaged an additional 4,800 public servants, 1,600 teachers, 1,400 are health workers, 1,400 in the discipline forces. So some of this expenditure is going to frontline services and improving them. But it is an issue in the sense that it is exceeding budget appropriations.
Thekla Gunga, National EMTV News.
The law and justice sector is receiving 1,298.1 million kina from the national government's 14.2 billion kina budget for 2019. This is a 22% increase from the 2018 national budget.
The law and justice sector is made up of 13 lead agencies. This includes the Royal Papua New Guinea Constabulary, Papua New Guinea Defence Force, Correctional Service, the Magisterial and Judicial Services, and the Public Prosecutor and State Solicitor. The allocated amount will be shared amongst these agencies. Close to 80% of the money allocated to the law and justice sector, which equals up to 1 billion kina, will be for operational costs, while just a little over 10% will be for capital budget. From the operational budget, 690.8 million kina will be used to compensate employees, while 313.9 million kina will be for goods and services. Apart from the government's budgeted funds, the sector will be supported through grants from Australia, through the PNG Australia Joint Policing Partnership Program and the Justice Services and Stability for Development Programs. Grants from such arrangements are estimated to reach over 57 million kina. Thekla Gunga, National EMTV News.
Public Service Minister Elias Kapavora has promised that teachers who don't have loans but still suffered pay cuts due to technical problems with the payroll system will be fully reimbursed. However, this will depend on the outcome of an investigation currently underway. Initial investigations have revealed that many teachers also have loans taken out against a temporary 3% hike which lasted several fortnights.
Since the teachers' pay cuts were brought to light, more than 500 teachers from all over the country have come forward with details of amounts that were cut from their salaries. Because it's been logistically easy to document the issue in lay, EMTV has gone to 14 primary and secondary schools where more than 200 teachers have been affected. Several points to note. First, that increases were paid into teachers' accounts. Second, that the increment payment lasted for only 6 fortnights. And third, investigations found that many teachers took out additional loans based on those temporary increases.
Many of them have actually got many loans from many places, and when it comes to them getting their pay, some of them got over deductions.
But there are also other teachers who didn't get loans but still experienced unexplained pay cuts. That's now the focus of investigations, and the Public Service Minister, Elias Kapavore, says if there are technical glitches that cause the deductions, teachers will have their money returned.
If there's an issue with the payroll system, all those teachers who have had issue with over deductions, and if they did not get any loans, I can assure them that the government will make sure that they will be fully reimbursed.
Last week in Parliament, Education Minister Nick Koman said tougher measures would be put in place to limit the number of loans taken out by teachers and other public servants.
But any other deductions, Cabinet will make a decision, and the Minister for Finance, the Minister for Public Service and myself will make a joint statement and inform the country on what our position is.
On previous occasions, finance companies have taken the Education Department to court after the department temporarily suspended loan repayments. Scott Waide, National EMTV News, Ley.
Now to Apec. Philippine President Rodrigo Duterte will be attending the Apec Leaders Summit in Port Moresby and to also finalize a memorandum of agreement with Prime Minister O'Neill to engage in local rice production. Philippine Ambassador to PNG, Bienvenido Tejano, said the embassy looks forward to President Duterte's arrival in Port Moresby as it will strengthen the two countries' bilateral ties.
The Philippine ambassador to Papua New Guinea, Bienvenido Tihano, confirmed President Rodrigo Duterte's attendance of the Apec Leaders Summit. President Duterte is also scheduled to visit the Filipino community here in Papua New Guinea.
Philippine President Rodrigo Duterte was invited by the Honorable Peter Onel, and he readily and gladly responded to come. So he'll be here by, I think, this coming Friday.
In May 2018, President Duterte hosted Prime Minister O'Neill in the Philippines, where the two heads of state signed a joint declaration of agricultural cooperation with emphasis on rice production. The rice demonstration farm along the highway in 14 Mile is about 25 hectares. There are several varieties of rice grown. To know which variety would be suitable for the soil and the climate,
My Minister of Agriculture, the Honorable Emmanuel Pinul, will be arriving to sign the document. And I think the Honorable Minister Bini Allen is also prepared. The Department of Agriculture and Livestock is also prepared to do the same.
The PNG Rice Outsourcing project will be a bilateral agreement between the Philippines and Papua New Guinea. It allows Filipino workers to plant rice in PNG state lands, leased by private Filipino companies for 99 years, on the condition that any excess production of rice of what PNG needs be shipped to Philippines. Isaiah Tare, National EMTV News.
This is Tuesday's News. We'll be back with more after these messages. Stay with us. Welcome back to the news. The people of Bogia and Sumkar districts in Medang are growing impatient over the delay in fixing the Bana Bridge, which collapsed in January this year. A village leader told EMTV that the lack of attention by the national government has also led to too many social problems. Martha Louise reports.
Bana Bridge connected people traveling in and out of Medang town. The people of Sumkar, Bogia and Middle Ramo depend on this route. This bridge is their link to Medang. On January 4th this year, the bridge collapsed, disconnecting commuters from the three districts, including people from East and West Sepik.
Back road is stop, access road. Namiblaga desa stop. Look at people suffer outside stop. Always car comes up.
On January 26th, 3 weeks after the bridge collapsed, National Planning Minister Richard Maru came to Medang and inspected the bridge and saw firsthand the impact it had on commuters.
But Mipla like him, all authorities all the right people to come here and Mipla give him talk survey long all. Like Wex must come because Wex is the subcontract and government law right out in the slow walk.
It's been 11 months since the bridge collapsed, and villagers say the contractor responsible for work on the bridge has done little, leaving commuters and locals with so many questions.
Yes,
village leader John Amoki also questioned where the promised money allocated by the national government to build a permanent bridge, as well as reopen the 10-kilometer bypass, has gone to.
Now me like I'm long, start blogging now number 10 month, 11 month now. But me look at government come talk natin, minister come talk natin na go. Only make a promise natin, only talk 10 million. Na dela some 10 million na ino ka Chinese plan looking bridge Mr. one kind. No lali Chinese.
Meanwhile, the National Works Secretary David Weres said they later found out that the contractor has no means of fixing the bridge. The Works Department has sought advice from the Public Tenders Board to review the contract. Thus, it is understood that a new contractor with equipment and capacity will fix the bridge. Locals have also questioned the youth spending priority given to host Apec, while the people are still waiting for almost a year for the national government to fix the bridge.
Also na meeting also government lusi timi long mipla because long mipla pun kama long mostly Apec meeting. Also na mas lusi timi maybe Olusintilo mipla na mipla stabosem.
Martha Louise, National EMTV News, Medeng.
Meanwhile, village leader John Amoki, who is also the board chairman of Talidig Primary School, says since the bridge broke down in January, students' attendance in school has dropped as most of them spend time at the bridge helping commuters and making money for themselves while missing out on school.
Mipla got school problem. Or pigini no go to school. And one big plus something. Mipla face him now. Osena emol one all heavy mipla payim longan. So mipla like him was government must look good. Hurry up now. Certain bridge so people living here all by go back to place now. Papa mama must go back to place now. Nothing till all pigini must go back to school. Emol big heavy mipla puim. And support chairman locality primary school. Mipla this a big heavy. Plan the pigini plan no start school. Mipla got one elementary, Jody elementary, I'm closed down. I'm not close to Solanta, I'm closed down. No got pigini. Teacher go teach musai.
The Papua New Guinea Council of Churches has called for a total ban on seabed mining in the country. An anti-seabed mining forum held today to draw the public's attention to the current deep seabed mining exploration, which was sanctioned by the government. The PNGCC has also called on the government to ensure separate policy legislation must be developed for any proposed seabed mining in country. The council also appealed to the country's elected leaders not to destroy the environment, but to ensure the proper use of land and sea. According to the council, seabed mining has only brought destruction to the ocean life and people where the proposed project is located. Now turning overseas, Stan Lee, the man who created some of the most famous comic book superheroes, has died aged 95. From the incredible hulking Green Giant to X-Men, Lee's characters have made billions for Hollywood. Here's more on the life of creations of the man many consider a real-life hero.
In comics,
does whatever a spider can.
In cartoons, in cinema, Stan Lee's creations have captivated fans for decades. He started in publishing in the 1930s at the company that would eventually evolve into Marvel, where he helped create characters ranging from Iron Man and the X-Men to Black Panther and oversaw the development of many more as part of the Marvel Universe.
I would be writing these stories along with the artists we'd be working with, and we would all be hoping somebody would buy the comic books so that we could keep our jobs and pay the rent and not be thrown out in the streets. But we never for a minute could have envisioned anything like what happened to these characters.
Mr. McGee, don't make me angry. You wouldn't like me when I'm angry.
It was inevitable that first TV, then Hollywood would come calling. And Stan Lee's frequent cameos, a constant on-screen reminder that he was consulted about the direction of the stories, and their often imperfect stars.
Big man in a suit of armor. Take that off, what are you?
Genius, billionaire, playboy, philanthropist.
Echoing their comic book origins, they had frequent conflicts, superheroes who fought each other almost as often as they fought together. Stan Lee, one of entertainment's most important ever figures, was a trailblazer.
That is hilarious.
He was the first comic book writer to understand that the human behind the mask was much more interesting, much more important than the mask itself.
You know, I guess one person can make a difference.
And after the break, we'll bring you some sporting updates in Chukai Sports. Don't go away.
Chukai Sports.
Welcome to Chukai Sports. Mixed martial arts fighter Adrian the Hunter Pang, who took on Japanese's Kota Shimoishi, who's ranked number 3 in Japan, won the bout in a technical knockout in the lightweight championship clash in Singapore last weekend. Today, young brother Jamie Pang, who was also present to witness the event in Singapore, was happy to see his brother's victory. In an exclusive video chat, Adrian Pang says he was happy to represent his country, PNG, at the international stage.
Singapore! Are you ready? Representing Australia, Adrian the Hunter Pang!
Kokopo-born Adrian Pang, a proud Papua New Guinean, in a 3-by-5 minute bout fought against Japanese top fighter Kota Shimoishi, 10 years younger than Pang.
He is a legend lightweight champion, standing at 174 centimeters tall.
At the start of the bout, Kota took down Pang in search of a submission move, but Pang, holding on strong, managed to cut his way out, still keeping in contact with Kota. While striking at each other on the floor, a quick strike from Pang managed to slit open his opponent's eyebrow, causing him to refuse retaliation. Without continuing the fight, and according to technical knockout, the win was awarded to Adrian the Hunter Pang. Today, younger brother Jamie Pang, in an exclusive interview, told EMTV Sports how he felt of his brother's win in Singapore.
It was very honourable carrying the PNG flag, representing PNG going overseas. It's always good to come back with a victory. You know, Adrian's had some tough decisions. He's never been stopped or been beaten. He's always just lost on points. So, you know, after 4 losses, it was good to come back with a victory.
Jamie says Adrian's fight wasn't an easy one, but he managed to pull through and win.
It was a supreme victory for Adrian. He escaped many submissions. His opponent was a formidable opponent. He's a submission master, a judo black belt, and yeah, it wasn't an easy fight, but Adrian got the victory.
He says Adrian, who's now over the age of 40, represents PNG wholeheartedly.
Adrian's a champion. He's a true warrior. He always represents PNG, and at over 40 years old, where most people have retired, he's still strong and he's fitter than ever.
An exclusive video message from Adrian. He encouraged the youths in PNG to stay strong and believe in themselves.
Hi Papua New Guinea. I just want to say thank you for all the support you've given me through my whole career. I'm very humbled to represent PNG on the world stage in front of millions of people, and my victory on Friday night in Singapore was not only for myself but for my country and Papua New Guinea. So just want all the youth to know that anything is possible if you set your mind and your dreams to it. And wishing you all the best and hope to see you all soon. Yaro Makach.
Godwin Eki, National EMTV Sports.
30 of PNG's elite athletes arrived in Port Moresby today after attending the High Performance Leadership Summit in Australia. The week-long summit saw PNG athletes go through different activities, which included lectures and workshops.
The Leadership Summit has helped these 30 sportsmen and women learn to become better athletes in terms of personal development. PNG women's volleyball player Lois Garena says the summit has also helped athletes learn about each other and the code they compete in.
We went through a leadership course, and in that course we learned a lot about how we could better manage ourselves, lead our team, a lot about personal development for ourselves as well. And we had a really good time in terms of getting to understand each other as people and as sportsmen and women.
Moving forward, Garena says she will be taking what she learned from the summit to her code of volleyball to help other volleyball players and coaches.
I look forward to encouraging my teammates, my coaches, my managers, my national federation to attend more courses and more activities that the high performance will run for all federations and for all codes. So I hope that we can be able to bring the athletes up to par in terms of all the other aspects of being a sportsman and woman in the country.
The Leadership Summit was a success with many positive outcomes being achieved. Many of these athletes will be training in preparation for the Pacific Games in Samoa next year.
Currently in the train-on squad, we aren't in training at the moment for the indoor volleyball, but we hope that we can be able to prepare ourselves ready for Samoa. We've got a bunch of good players, experienced new ladies that are in the train-on squad as well, so we hope to put together a strong team to go up there and better our placing from 4th in the last Pacific Games to maybe a medal playoff. Yeah.
Elijah Levet, National EMTV Sports.
The PNG national women's football team flew out of Port Moresby yesterday for the OFC Women's Nations Cup playoff. The team will spend 2 nights in Vanuatu before flying out on Thursday to New Caledonia. The team will play against Samoa in its first game on Sunday afternoon at the Stade Yoshida Stadium and will play host New Caledonia on Wednesday, then Tahiti on Saturday, hoping for a spot in the semi-finals. The results in New Caledonia will determine their preparations over the past 2 weeks. They're expected to play a friendly against the Vanuatu women's national team. Trukai Sports will be back with some overseas rugby after this break. Stay tuned.
Trukai Sports.
Welcome back to Trukai Sports. The son of an All Blacks legend has taken the first step in following his dad's footsteps. Nico Jones has inked his first contract with New Zealand Rugby, signing with the All Blacks Sevens for the approaching World Series.
It's tries like this that have earned Nico Jones his first black jersey.
Nico Jones all the way, the captain, the MVP in the semi-final.
The 18-year-old St Peter's star has been given a full-time Sevens contract for the 2018-19 World Series.
Oh, he's an athlete. You know, he's got some great attacking abilities, and he's got the one thing he can't coach, which is speed. You know, so a lot of those attributes all go well in Sevens.
Jones wasn't available for interviews today as he's deep in school exams this week. He hasn't spent a day in camp yet and won't play in next week's season opening event in Dubai. Coach Clark Laidlaw concedes he'll likely have just 1 year in Sevens before focusing on 15s, trying to follow in legendary dad Sir Michael's footsteps.
You know, I think ultimately everybody sees Nico's future in Super Rugby and hopefully the All Blacks.
Jones is one of 5 players who have signed for the upcoming season. Him and Northland outside back Scott Gregory, the 2 new faces. Those who have been in the environment for a while, excited by what they'll bring.
Yeah, I suppose that's the beauty of our team. We always have new faces, and I suppose it keeps us guys on our toes as well.
Baker, meanwhile, has recommitted until after the 2020 Olympics. A key member of this year's World Cup winning side never thought he'd get this far after missing selection for the Rio Games.
To be honest, it's given me a new lease of life, I suppose a new drive. For me, the end, I don't see the end as 2020.
A fresh start for Baker and a massive step for a young player with a big rugby future.
And that's a wrap on Trukai Sports. Coming up next, the weather details for the next 24 hours.
Trukai Sports. Trukai Sports.
The weather details were proudly brought to you by Dulux, celebrating 50 years in PNG and the only paint made in PNG.
A quick look at the weather in the southern region only. Mostly fine right across the region in Port Moresby, Daru, Kerema, Alutau and Popondetta.
The weather details were proudly brought to you by Dulux, celebrating 50 years in PNG and the only paint made in PNG.
And that's been Tuesday's news. On behalf of the news team and myself, pleasant viewing. Have a good night.